So Don, thank you very much for taking the time to be together with us today. And I guess I wanted to start with asking you kind of looking back. Hyperoptic has been more than 10 years now. You founded it, co-founded it, and then CEO. And so, looking back the last 10 years, how does what are the key learnings for you? Like, and how has it been that experience of running Hyperoptic?
Excellent. Well, Philippe, it's a pleasure to get the opportunity to speak with you as well. For me, maintaining good relationships with our partners and being aligned at a CEO level is hugely important to our mutual success. I think for me, when we started Hyperoptic, it was really about starting fiber in the UK. At that time, the incumbent was focusing on fiber to the cabinet. And I think for us, it was just so obvious that full fiber would come to the UK. So my business partner and I put together a spreadsheet. It was a really big spreadsheet. And we had a particular focus at the time, which was really on the MDUs, which is very similar to how the fiber revolution started across Europe and Asia, et cetera. So it was really about how can we maximize our density when we put fiber in. And how do we make sure, and this is of course key for us, and when we look across the altnet space, truly defines us, is that focus on customers. So for us, we started on that. And so there are two elements of our DNA, which has been here from day one, even before the fiber rush came in and before a lot of investors put a lot of money into the space across so many altnets. And it really is about that financial discipline. So making sure that we pick the right places to invest. We do so in a quality way. And then we focus on getting really happy customers onto the network. Because a well-built network means that you have customers that never call you.
We're starting to see, you're seeing the results of that quality and that right first time. I think my understanding is you've got a 5-star rating, which is really important to you. It's really important to translate to the brand of what Hyperoptic is about. So, and I also understand you now reached a new milestone, over 1 million, I think a 1.15 million home passed. What was that, again, the quality was important. Customer experience is very, very important. I mean, that's what the brand is. Going through that fiber build, what are the learnings that you've gone through as a company, and what were the challenges there?
I think for us, as we evolved as a company, moving from the MDU model to building in-street fiber, so we have two different models, if you will. There were so many learnings, so it's a great question. I think we really applied ourselves with gusto to the MDU model and had it down pat. So we know how to get wayleaves, we know how to do in-building cabling, we know how to communicate with potential customers and create a community. I think moving to the in-street build, moving to a PON network, which of course required a different orientation for our engineers, we had a lot of lessons early days about the importance of planning, of quality, of right first time. Because what we often found at the beginning was when we went to connect up customers, something wasn't quite right, and we didn't have the records to show why, we think they should be connected, and then we see the light on a different PON lighting up, and for us, we knew we hadn't done something right. And I think it was then that my innovation team said, we have an idea. We have to bring test heads into the network so that we can build with light, we can create quality, so that as we connect our customers, we have that assurance that the network will work right first time. And for us, that's truly important, because if we're not building with light, if we don't have that network quality, we can't have the great customer experience. And many of our competitors really rushed to get as many homes passed on the books as they could. And we still see that in some places today. But for us, it's really about not just getting the homes passed, but getting customers. And if you don't do it right, it costs a lot more, a lot of customer frustration. And then that word of mouth just seeps through of don't even bother. And for us, it's absolutely about that focus on the customer and understanding of the role that quality has to play. So we had a lot of lessons along the way. And thank you for helping us learn a very positive and constructive way that we could be the company that we wanted to be.
Oh, that's good. And then that's how we've come in. Obviously, EXFO as being you wanted to do something. You wanted to get that deployment fast. We wanted to do the first time, right quality, so that the customer experience is different. So we worked very closely with your team. Obviously, we went through some. What are the problem statement? Where's the innovation required? We've looked at the centralized test heads and also handheld, our beautiful handhelds here that we've got, where we wanted to also bring some test automation with it as well. So let's start about the centralized test head, because I do think this is very innovative the way how we work together and how we understanding where the pain points are and so how do we bring the technology along to make sure that we can do the right first time and test with the right quality. So partnership came into play, and how would you qualify that? From between EXFO and Hyperoptic, how did you see from your position the partnership going, and how did it evolve over times, and then ultimately helping you into a solution that we really believe was innovative and into the market?
I think for me, what I found most impressive about our relationship, and it's really about the teams that both of us had working on it, and that my team and your team were actually interested in solving the business problem. And obviously there's commercials, but we never had the sense that the only thing that EXFO was after was to get as much revenue in. And I'm sure revenue is important to you. It's important to me. We'd be silly as CEOs not to say it's important. But I think that recognition that if you're focusing on the business outcome, we'll both be better off. And I think we've proven that, right? So through the work that my team has done with your team and working so closely together on to come up with something, engineers absolutely love it. Business partners may be a little wary of it, but they get how important it is to make sure no matter who's doing the work, we have that quality. And what we're really excited about is also using those test heads to enable us to get an understanding of any customer issues and being able to resolve them as quickly as possible. Because again, it's all about the customer for us. So that partnership is key. And we love working with companies that don't just say, here's a device, here's a piece of software, buy, you take it or leave it. We love the opportunity to innovate together, because if we're not doing that, then life can be really boring.
And I would give you, my perspective is really from our side, the worst thing to do is to come in. Innovations are part of our DNA, so we tend to really come out with technology. But if you can't apply that technology to real problems or challenges that our customers are going through, it's useless technology. So what we really liked in the relationship and the partnership was how we worked very closely together and understanding how we can change the game together. And there's ways today that some of the incumbents or other customers are using, and we felt, again, working together, that we can really improve the speed to market, we can improve the quality, and we can improve the whole monitoring aspect by working together and coming out with a centralized test heads, which we thought was really innovative and to the heart, and it came through dialogue and working together. The second part was that we also worked together is on the handheld, which is when you send a technician, your field technicians into the field to do the testing. We felt that, again, bringing automation and not just being able to do the test, but providing process automation and the workflows and making sure that the tests are done according to your spec, according to what you really is important to you. Bringing those tools, and that's automation tool was really important. And I think when I'm hearing a lot from you as well, is data is really important. Measuring, what's happening in your network, measuring the customer experience, the quality of experience. And I think that's a bit of what we're trying to bring here with this test automation and test data. So maybe you want to share with us, that whole, what you're asking your team to focus on in terms of data and getting the right data in front of you to make the right decisions.
Well, as I shared with you, we had our original spreadsheet was very big. We love data. For us, it's really about the proof point of the numbers, and it's really part of our DNA of making sure it's something that we can absolutely prove so that we can trust and we can drive the business. So I think what's key with the test with the handheld testers is it means that for every engineer, they get immediate feedback as to whether they've had a job well done. So for me, that's important because not only is it good for us as a business, and we can, of course, by having centralized data, get a real understanding of what testing is being done, what the results are, what are we looking for. We can also then do lots of trend analysis in terms of whether it's on particular squads or particular business partners, and really get an understanding of where and how long getting to the quality we want is taking. But I think it's really important also for our engineers, and we have our own direct labor staff. We have a hybrid model. And being able, as you're doing your work, to get that feedback straight away. I've done an awesome job. Well, how satisfying is that? Or getting the feedback, actually, there's something not quite right there, time to fix it. Again, who wouldn't rather fix their work and have that pride of a job well done at the time when it happens, rather than having someone say, hey, yesterday I had to go back and fix one of your splices. That's not the way it should work. So I think it gives us benefits both for our customers. It operates the way we do around using data to drive our business decisions, but it also enables our employees to really get that job satisfaction that we all want everyone to have.
That's good. And I think the other point I wanted to maybe hear from you is with the centralized test set as an example, where we now have the capability to constantly monitor the fiber, constantly monitor the network. And I think, your customers have, I'm sure, choices. They can decide, who they obviously you want them to stay with Hyperoptic. But I think the strategy, what I'm hearing, is you want to constantly also monitor that customer experience. So there's proactively, you don't want any surprises, and being able to, respond proactively if there are some challenges. So, the centralized test set does have that capability to constantly monitor. And I think that's going to be also important for me in terms of innovation, is to be really getting more data in terms of how the network is performing and ultimately how the customer's experiences are. So, and that, I think, is important to you, right, in terms of your brand. And as we talked about at the beginning, the 5-star rating, which I'm sure you want to continue to have, because that's a differentiating element to your company.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, we see ourselves as the innovators and leaders in bringing fiber to the UK market. We aren't necessarily the largest or the fastest, but we do a great quality job. And where we are today is we are shifting our sights from network build to customer experience. And we want that same innovation and leadership in demonstrating how fiber should be done and how the customer should feel from their fiber provider. And we're in a unique position to do that because not only of the technology that we've embedded with your test heads, but also in terms of how we embrace the importance of that customer experience. So there's actually, workshops going on every day about how can we make the best future fiber experience possible. And this functionality that you've just mentioned is absolutely part of that. And I think you're going to see some very innovative things from us in the coming years. That's
going to be pretty cool. So shifting to the future a bit, and just maybe the last kind of question. So, we hear a lot about AI coming obviously into fray. We know how technology evolves so quickly. What's your thought around? I think with technologies like AI, there is going to be and the amount of data that you can gather from the network, there will be a real nice opportunity to collect that data, do the correlation, bring some proactiveness in terms of understanding what's happening in the network. Maybe even used, machine learning to really bring new tools. And so any thoughts on, again, you wanted to differentiate yourselves in technology, disruptive innovation has been a bit at the heart of what you're doing. How do you view the future and, the next 10 years for Hyperoptic?
Well, it's such an interesting question because actually last night my CFO sent me an email saying, look at this question I just put on ChatGPT and what it answered, and I don't have to do the board packs anymore. Not exactly true, but I think, look, we do use machine learning today in our network planning, for example, and we also do it with respect to where we choose to build our networks. So we have elements in it in the beginning of the process. And that's why I think it's so important that as we evolve, we feel, as I mentioned earlier, we know how to do network build, both with our internal staff and external staff. So that's an engine that will keep running. What it is that shift to the customer experience and using AI in order to enable a brilliant customer experience. So I don't know exactly what it's going to be. For me, it's that opportunity to do something new and absolutely nail it from a customer perspective.
Yeah, my perspective on this is we're going to become more and more, even more data driven. As you said, you had huge spreadsheet, and that became a big part of how you make your decisions. I think for us at EXFO, being more and more data driven is also going to, especially with all the information that our instruments, our solutions are gathering, that I think we can start also bringing a bit more, I would say, additional intelligence on proactiveness about and then be able to predict some of the maybe failures that could happen, so that again, it goes back to that customer experience. So I'm really excited about, again, what technology can do in the future. And I think continuing to have partnership like we do right now with you and your team, I think is going to be really important, because we don't want to do this innovation in isolation. I think it's through joint working relationship that I think we can really bring innovative and disruptive innovation. So. And that will be my last questions to you, Donna. So what would you recommend to the EXFO team, going forward? I mean, you've seen us work closely with your team. Again, looking forward, any coaching for us in terms of how you want us to continue to work with you, and how you want us to continue to work with you?
So, first of all, thank you for the question. I think it's a great question, and if just the opportunity to give some thoughts to your team is really appreciated. I think challenge us. I think ask us questions. And if we're not thinking big enough, push us harder. And obviously, let's keep problem solving together, because the idea that we could really evolve how customers think about they shouldn't have to think about it. Everything is working for them. Everything about how they use it, when they use it, any issues we may have, all solved, and very proactive. It has to be about proactivity. And so let's fix that together.
It's great. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.